Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, let's say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who has given us some blessing and mercies until now we do the presentation about the journal. And secondly, don't forget to our Prophet Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, in this opportunity we will begin the presentation about HRM reform in the Indonesian civil service towards strategic fit. And before that, we remind that the members of this group are me, Dimas Purnama, and then Dyana Kamelya, and then Elvira, Sekar, Sujono, and then Fathiyyatun, Nisa, and then Firania Aqillah. This paper investigates the best fit approach of strategic human resource management or HRM in the Indonesian civil service and examines the factor influencing the prevalence of best fits involving 53 senior officials and one focus group discussion from 8 Indonesian government agencies through semi-structural interviews. The finding indicates that some HRM policies formulated by the central agencies are still contradicting and hinder best fits. However, the best fits concept can be seen in the line agencies which have been granted status as reform agencies. Factors influencing the best fits include knowledge of contemporary HRM and commitment from the line agencies leaders. And the first is introduction. For the last 3 decades, research on strategic HRM has been dominant in the HRM literature. Strategic HRM remains one of the most popular and rapidly growing areas of HRM research. What differentiates strategic HRM from traditional HRM is that it focuses from the micro-analytic research or employee level to a more macro level of analysis, international level or strategic perspective. And traditional HRM focus more on functional aspect of the field, such as recruitment and selection, remuneration, performance management and training, and how this practice impact on employee performance. And then meanwhile, strategic HRM focus more on how the functional aspect impact on the organization performance, or in the other words, it seeks the HRM, organizational performance relationship. While studies examining strategic HRM in the private sector are well documented, studies examining this area in the civil service seem to have fallen behind. This may relate to the different characteristics of private and civil service organization. Maker and Ramgildi Wong 2003 argued that strategic HRM is a private sector problem of how to maximize organizational performance in an atmosphere of intense competition. Even though strategic HRM is rooted in the private sector, Tompkins 2002 argues that the concept of strategic HRM holds considerable promise for improving government performance, and the recent interest in strategic HRM reflects a growing awareness that human resources are the key to success in both civil and private service organizations. Therefore, this study aims to investigate an applicability of strategic HRM model by using the Indonesian civil service as a case study. The Indonesian civil service embracing a centralized HRM system over challenges to the adoption of strategic HRM, which suggests a more developed HRM system. See, for example, Brewster and Lasser 1992, Azmi and Mustaq 2015, Zhu Cooper, The Siri, Thompson, and Zhao 2008. Thank you.
Next, strategic HRM fit. Baker and Huselite are of the view that much work in this field is organized based on the several research themes and approaches that distinguish it from conventional research in the HRM field. Among these themes, the unifying approaches to strategic HRM continue to develop. First, the best practice approach relies on the idea that some HRM practices are always better than others and that all organizations must adopt this best practice. Second, the most appropriate approach suggests that the choice of HRM practice must be designed according to the specific context of the organization, such as organizational strategy, social values, and management philosophy. While research can take different approach to strategic HRM, there are general features that research agree on. McCord and Wong-Rem-Guti highlight that among the various strategic HRM studies agreements, the most commonly agreed upon features are the notion of strategic integration, aligning HRM practice with the overall strategic objective of the organization, or vertical integration, and each other or horizontal integration. One of the papers widely cited in this field, Wright and McMahon, argues that the underlying concept around HRM strategic practice is aligned with organization goals. Two important dimensions embedded in the definition are highlighted. Vertically, it connects HRM practice with the organization's strategic management process, and horizontal, it emphasizes that HRM practice must be aligned to one another. Boxall and Purcell describe this dimension as the most suitable. In short, central to strategic HRM are countries where HRM practice must be aligned with one another. Based on this concept, this paper investigates in this study including recruitment and selection, performance management, remuneration, and training. To achieve these goals, two research questions have been established as follows. 1. To what extent are vertical and horizontal fit practice in Indonesian civil service? 2. What factors influence the prevalence of vertical and horizontal suitably in Indonesian civil service?
Research setting, the Indonesian Civil Service. Since 2010, the Indonesian Civil Service has been undergoing HRM reforms aiming to improve civil service quality. Various initiatives are introduced, such as more open, more transparent recruitment system, performance-based remuneration system, and work goals-based employee performance system. The introduction of the performance allowance significantly differentiates the Indonesian civil services old remuneration system, which puts an emphasis on the equality system. Line agencies granted status as reform agencies by the central agencies are eligible for the performance allowance scheme. On the other hand, line agencies that have not been granted status as reforms agencies are not eligible for the performance allowance scheme. Methodology. Semi-structured interviews involving 53 high officials ranging from the head of agency, the vice governor, the vice minister, the secretary general, directors, senior managers, and one focus group discussion of 8 government agencies in the Indonesian civil service were employed. The 8 purposefully selected agencies consist of 3 central agencies mandated to formulate HRM policies. The National Bureaucratic Reform Team mandated to oversee the bureaucratic reform program at the national level, and 4 line agencies from both central government and local government mandated to implement the HRM policies.
The finding obtained in this paper can be seen from the table 5.1. As shown in table 5.1, vertical and horizontal fit of human resource management practice including recruitment and selection, performance management, remuneration, and training and development is partly practiced by the line agency. Specifically, vertical and horizontal fit is practiced in line agency which have been granted status as reformer agency. Their familiarity with contemporary HRM knowledge and having strong commitment and support from the line agency leader that enable them to align HRM practice to meet their need. The reform line agency in the study have utilized their HRM policies to support the goals and objectives of their agency by synchronizing HRM practice, such as between recruitment planning, job analysis and recruitment, between remuneration and employee performance, and between performance management and promoting and training. However, the line agency, which have not been granted status as reformer agency, show insignificant change in their HRM system compared to the old practice. They see the new HRM policies merely as an obligation and do not link them to line agency goal and objectives. It is concluded that vertical and horizontal fit is more recognized in the line agency granted status as reformer agency. In the part of discussion, we explained that vertical and horizontal fit is practiced in line agency granted status as reformer agency. The result demonstrates that there has been consistency by the reform line agency in aligning HRM practice with the line agency goal and objectives and with one another, even though this line agency are bounded by HRM policies that do not support the vertical and horizontal fit concept. Another finding is that familiarity with the contemporary HRM and strong commitment from the line agency leaders drives best fit in the line agency. The fact that the reform line agency were familiar with the utilization of HRM to support the line agency goals before the HRM reform were nationally launched demonstrate that knowledge of contemporary HRM significantly influenced the way line agency conduct their HRM practice.
Okay, next discussion. With regard to the line agencies that had not been granted status as reformed agencies, there is a little evidence of vertical and horizontal fit. To some extent, however, vertical and horizontal fit can be seen in one of the line agencies in which human resource management reformed internally in 2008. Although it has not been granted status as reformed agencies by the central agencies, These agencies has made effort to align its human resource management practice to support the achievement of its goals. Clearly, the other agencies which has yet to be granted status as reformed agencies still manage its human resource management practice in a manner similar to the old practice, and there is little to suggest that vertical and horizontal fit is practiced. The fact of the old human resource management practices in the Indonesian civil service reflect the traditional human resource management model demonstrate that vertical and horizontal fit cannot be expected in this agency. This article suggests that vertical and horizontal fit is practiced in the line agencies which have been granted status as reformed agencies. Although the literature suggests that human resource management development is determinant to vertical and horizontal fit, the study indicates that vertical and horizontal fit, albeit limited, can still happen in a centralized human resource management system, such as in the such as in the Indonesian civil service.
The next article discusses about engaging the quiet mission civil society in breaking the cycle of violence in the post-conflict Poso Indonesia. Abstract. This research investigates how civil society has contributed to human security, especially in the context of maintaining peace in the post-conflict society of Indonesia. Unlike former studies that have paid the most attention to the fundamental role of the state actor, these studies emphasize the importance of civil society as a non-state actor. This research paid attention mainly but not exclusive to the case of society in the post-conflict of Muslim and Christian in Poso Central Sulawesi, Indonesia. The findings suggest that the role of civil society is evolving and essential in creating favorable conditions for maintaining peace, particularly in breaking the so-called cycle of violence. This study demonstrates that the emerging role of non-state actors, quietly but significantly, is supportive and cannot be overlooked in post-conflict society, hence providing space for further discussion of the role of non-state actors in backing up sustainable peace is indispensable. As a result, civil society has also been on the front line in developing human security. Next, introduction. This paper investigates the role and contribution of non-state actors to human security in post-conflict societies. Specifically, this emphasizes how the role of civil society as a non-state actor is very important to create favorable conditions for maintaining peace. This shows the non-state contribution to break the so-called cycle of violence in the post-conflict area of Poso Central Sulawesi, Indonesia. This paper is divided into 4 parts. The first discusses human security in terms of problems and actors. The second and the third focus is on the legacy of conflict and post-conflict governance in Poso. Finally, this paper highlights the role of non-state actors in maintaining human security. Throughout this study, we have shown that quietly but significantly, civil society is also at the forefront of peace building by trying to break the cycle of violence in the post-conflict societies.
Human security. Human security has been defined in several perspectives, such as Japan government, Canada government, and the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP. Although the definition varies slightly, the notion of human security has common ideas and linkages. Human security focuses on human protection. So interestingly, in most discussion of human security, attention is given to the state makes sense. Only a few studies have spotlighted the role of non-state actors in protecting human security. Although there are some academic works on the relation between civil society as a non-state actor and human security, they are still very limited. This paper to emphasize the contribution of non-state actors in protecting human security, especially in the context of peace building in the post-conflict society of Indonesia. It especially considers the role of civil society in breaking the so-called cycle of violence in post-conflict area of Poso Central Sulawesi, Indonesia. The presence of non-state actors in protecting human security is also significant.
Okay, the next is conflict in Poso, Indonesia. Poso was the scene of a communal conflict in which forcible hostilities took place between Christians and Muslims between 1998 and 2001. The Poso conflict was rooted in its history, separation between communities along religious line, and has excited since the colonial period. In pre-colonial times, indigenous group living in coastal areas has been exposed to Muslim sea traders and became Muslim. On the other hand, diverse ethnic groups live in the interior highland following their animist belief. In the early 19th, Dutch Protestant missionaries, namely the Netherlands Mission Society, Netherlands Gendeling Genootschap, came to convert indigenous animist group to Christianity. The society's headquarters was established in Tenan Poso. After Indonesia's independence in 1945, the so-called Darul Islam and Permesta became really regional separatists, disturbing Central Sulawesi. Darul Islam from South Sulawesi tried to banish interior Highlander animists and Christians, while Permesta, who were mainly Christian from North Sulawesi, defended them. However, there was a period when Darul Islam and Permesta united to fight the central government for regional autonomy. After the conflict in the Poso Lake region, a Pamona militia called the Central Sulawesi Youth Movement or Gerakan Pemuda Sulawesi Tengah (GPST) arose in opposition to Permesta. At the same time, its forces were committing violence against the highland communities. The complexity of the dynamic of conflict in the region has persisted. In the New Order's regime of Suharto period, the majority of the population were still Pamona Protestant and their leaders held. To stimulate development in Sulawesi, the government constructed the Trans-Sulawesi Highway, which was complete in 1990. The highway also attracted voluntary migrants from another part of Sulawesi Island. The migrant population, which was mostly Muslims, gradually shifted the balance between Christians and Muslims in Central Sulawesi, especially in the Poso district. The Muslim population steadily replaced the local Christian ethnic group as majority. Hence, the Poso conflict had no single cause but arose because of the nexus of several events. First, there was the community power struggle, both political and economic, between natives and migrant communities. The second, the long rivalry between indigenous Protestant and migrant Muslims had made the Muslims jealous and suspicious of the Protestant sense of nationalism. Third, the elites struggled for power, which exacerbate communication gaps between the two communities. The communal conflict between Christian and Muslim peaked in 2000. The violence in Poso, Central Sulawesi, led to division of Muslim and Christians to create exclusive areas and communities in 1998. After 3 years of episodic fighting, the death toll was estimated more than 1,000, with 1,000 more injured. On December 19 until 20, 2001, the Indonesian government mediated a meeting between the two warring parties in Poso. The parties agreed to end their conflict and to work together to keep the peace in Poso. The agreement was extrapolated and in their joint declaration, now as a 10-point Malino Declaration. Control over the local bureaucracy. Lauren Argon described Poso in Central Sulawesi in 1980s as field of the Lord because of their geographic isolation and their devotion Christianity. However, those privileges changed when the central government chose Central Sulawesi as a new transmigration destination in 1973.
In this section, I will explain about post-conflict governance. Poso has been recognized as a successful case of post-conflict reconstruction. The government proudly declared that Poso was already peaceful. Speedy economic growth, massive investment, and peaceful election were seen as token of the theme Poso. Unfortunately, the study found that to some extent, Poso is the opposite of the governance claim. People in Poso are living in constant fear of chaos and violence. They live separately inside their communities and religious groups, and they are easily manipulated for the benefit of local political elites. A decade after official reconciliation, social cohesion is far from complete. This paper suggests that peace in Poso is not real. It is order, not peace, that exists in Poso. In the context of Poso, every conflict is local. This premise is widely accepted in peace and conflict studies. After analysis, there are several post-conflict problems in Poso. The first is the Malino Peace Accord tried to end the conflict by reconciling community leaders. However, the most important matter for the people was not accommodated since the accord was also intended as a symbol of forgiveness. Second, another problem was discernible when political elite started to use ex-combatant groups to strengthen their political base. Instead of reintegrating ex-militia members into civilization lives, the elites enhanced the group expertise in violence. The third, in economic reconstruction, the Poso district government has conducted specially designed programs for the post-conflict area to boost the economy. But the programs were far from successful due to lack of long-term planning and low capacity of the field officer. All in all, we can assume that Poso's local government has failed to reform the post-conflict good governance. Security conditions at this moment are fostering potential future conflicts for many reasons. There are some aspects, such as the political use of ex-combatants by political elites, economic jealousy between communities, excessive exploitation of natural resources, and persistent social distrust among communities. To the international community, these problems are difficult to assess because visible violence no longer exists and the local political economy seems to be stable in Poso, at least on paper. Thus, we are easily convinced that the peace-building process is on the right track. Poso district government has created development policies that do not support peace-building efforts in the region. Presently, Poso cannot be considered to be conducive to protecting human security. Poso is still in the process of recovering and will require a lot of effort to create human security in the area and return the situation to normal. In that context, civil society plays an important role in keeping peace at the grassroots level. The effort of civil society are illustrated in the following section.
Civil society in post-conflict peace building, the silent works. Building lasting peace in conflict-torn society is among the complex challenges for peace and security. In the context of post-conflict governance in PASO, there are some aspects need to be highlighted, and there are 2 points in here, and point number 1 is toward breaking the cycle of violence. In a post-conflict society, awareness about the significance of peace can be spread by connecting efforts to prevent widespread resentment among family members. Breaking the cycle of violence is about preventing families from falling victim to rumors and incitement that encourage conflict. In post-conflict PASO, breaking the cycle of violence means the community can effectively pinpoint core breaking points. It is also all about collective efforts to transform society from a culture of conflict to a culture of peace. Many women acted as agents of peace by connecting the warring parties through simple daily activity. And point number 2 is from conflict victims to peace builders, civil society supports the role of women. Women who knows the cause of conflict so well are also better equipped than men to serve as a peace educator. Optimizing the role of women in supporting peace building is essential. Empowering includes providing information about the importance and the significance of peace building process. And number 2 is extending awareness for all citizens. And the last is providing facilities for the implementation of the learning process. There are 2 highlight women's schools that aim to empower their students. And school number 1 is Pamona Women's School. This school is dedicated to disseminating the idea of peace to women and empowering women in social and economic skills. And school number 2 is Mosin to Women's School. The Mosin to Women's School encourages to the collective struggle for peacemaking and learn how to gain access and to interact across boundaries of identity.
Conclusion. Some points of discussion can be highlighted. First, while state actors have paid more attention to the perpetrators of the conflict such as ex-combatants and elites, civil society has paid attention to women who are working to break the cycle of violence. Second, the role of women is often overlooked in post-conflict governance. Civil society has encouraged women to be significant players as peace builders. Civil societies empowered women as important agents in breaking the cycle of violence. Civil society movement in building peace has been silent and consequently has attracted little media attention. In the context of human security, this study shows that civil society has also been on the front line in maintaining peace by working to break the cycle of violence in a post-conflict society. In this sense, civil society has become an essential part in post-conflict governance, involved in the intangible peace-building mission.